Welcome back to Panda Audio Books and the rapidly escalating Sword Marquis Token Tournament. In our last episode, Jian Wushuang dominated the early rounds, silencing every critic with swift and decisive victories. But the easy path is over. Today, Wushuang faces a wall. Chapters 10, 11, and 12 bring the tournament to its climax as Wushuang must confront his first true elite contender, a powerful inner disciple who poses a genuine threat to his dreams. This is more than just a match, it's a desperate test of his hidden abilities and the limits of the heavenly creation skill. Wushuang will be pushed to the brink, forced to reveal more of his mastery than ever before just to survive and secure his spot in the final round. The greatest battle yet begins now. Chapter 10 starts right away. Chapter 10, Spear Devil. There were all sorts of people in the gladiator arena, including those who masked their identities like Jian Wushuang. Thus no one found him out of place. Enough talk. Let's fight. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. The minute he finished his sentence, his spiritual power was already rising. The fourth step of the spirit path. Spear Devil was stunned and his face turned red with anger. You dare underestimate me. Spear Devil considered himself very tough after consecutively defeating two same-level warriors. But now, his opponent was just a warrior of the fourth step of the spirit path. When he considered this, he burst into a rage all of a sudden. Go to hell! His long spear pierced the air like a dragon, causing a shrill sonic boom and appearing in front of Jian Wushuang in the next moment. Spear Devil had also closed the gap of 10 meters between him and his opponent at the same time. How fast? Jian Wushuang was startled, but his own actions didn't slow. Swoosh! He drew his long sword out of the sheath, instantly producing a sword shadow that was too fast to catch. He swiped at his opponent as his spiritual power came bursting forth and pushed his strength to its peak. Clang! The sword and spear clashed with a crisp clanging sound. Jian Wushuang twisted his wrist, inclining his long sword forward. With a ghostly jumping movement, the sword crossed the body of the spear and sliced towards Spear Devil's hands. This sword art! In his shock, Spear Devil's disdain for his opponent vanished at once. Though it was just a simple sword movement, he realized that Jian Wushuang possessed marvelous swordsmanship. Get out! He thundered, forcefully swinging down his arms holding the long spear. His fearsome strength instantly repelled Jian Wushuang's attack. He turned around, wanting to launch a counteroffensive. Whether it's your spear or figure, they are too clumsy. Come up and be my target. Jian Wushuang's voice came to his ears, followed by his ethereal sword shadow one after another. Fast. He was too fast. It was so fast that it seemed impossible to have come out of a warrior in the fourth step of the spirit path. In addition, Jian Wushuang's swordplay also continually interrupted and gave Spear Devil no room to fight back. What great swordsmanship! Fearsome! This swordsmanship! A commotion was raised in the arena, with exclamations rising in succession. The crowd was aware that this battle was a rank-skipping challenge between a warrior of the fourth realm of the spirit path and a warrior of the fifth step of the spirit path. Typically, there was no surprise to such battles. After all, there was such a big disparity between the fourth step and the fifth step. However, everyone was astounded the minute the two started fighting. Spear Devil, who was in the fifth step of the spirit path, was actually completely suppressed by the masked warrior in the fourth step of the spirit path. Interesting. The middle-aged man in loose purple robe smiled when he saw the scene unfolding in the arena. The masked warrior ought to be a young man, but he has truly great swordsmanship. If I'm not mistaken, his sword art ought to be the fallen leaf sword art of the sword pavilion. It's just a general first-class sword art, but he has an excellent command of it and is capable of pushing it to great heights. His every move is clean without any unnecessary embellishment. This shows he has a great understanding of the sword art and a solid foundation. His talent in sword principles is extraordinary because he possesses such swordsmanship while so young. On the other hand, the way the man called Spear Devil used his spear is far inferior. If not for his stronger spiritual power, he would have lost at the very beginning. The middle-aged man in the loose purple robe was the supervisor of the gladiator arena and enjoyed foresight as great as his status. With just a glance, he managed to grasp the greatness of Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship as well as his talent in sword principles. The man wasn't wrong. Jian Wushuang had truly remarkable swordsmanship. He wouldn't have taken the rank-skipping challenge if he wasn't confident. On the arena, the battle was overwhelmingly in favor of one person. How can this be? How can his sword be so fast? I'm in the 5th step of the spirit path, but I can't even catch up to his speed. Spear Devil was aghast but quickly became agitated. Arth! Spear Devil growled, raging flames of anger burning in his eyes. He completely exploded in the next moment. Boom! The shrill sonic boom once again rang throughout the arena. Disregarding Jian Wushuang slashing at him, he immediately showed his strongest killing move, which had terrifying lethality. Look! Spear Devil is using his ultimate move. It's the 13 styles of cloud-piercing spear. Someone was yelling below the arena. The 13 styles of cloud-piercing spear was a continuous attack, with each fiercer and stronger than the one before it. It was the unique move that propelled Spear Devil to fame. The power was so fearsome that even Jian Wushuang couldn't help feeling nervous. He promptly used his long sword to resist the continuous and fierce spear attacks. Clang! 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 His arms felt numb after blocking 12 spear attacks in a single breath. In the meantime, Spear Devil had accumulated his power and pushed it to an ultimate level, demonstrating the strongest and most terrifying 13th spear attack. D. Spear Devil cried, face twisting with ferocity. Go to hell! Killing intent flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Whoosh! The ice-cold sword shadow flashed before disappearing at once. The shadow was unimaginably fast, indescribably so. Vivid red spattered into the air. Spear Devil's ferocious smile remained etched on his face, but his eyes were filled with resentment and unwillingness. If one looked carefully, one could see a distinct sword wound on the vital part of his throat. Spear Devil, a warrior of the 5th realm of the spirit path who had won 2 life-and-death battles in succession, was killed. Jian Wushuang stood by Spear Devil's corpse, panting heavily. What a close call. They're indeed warriors who slaughter in the gladiator arena. Insanity is etched in their bones. He actually chose to fight life for life after being suppressed by my swordsmanship. I can't match up to his insanity. Fortunately, I had my trump card or it would have been my death today. Jian Wushuang sighed. Below the arena, everyone was stunned and shocked. Countless spectators were holding their breaths, watching the arena in disbelief. No one expected Spear Devil, a powerful warrior who had won 2 battles in succession, to die at the hands of a warrior in the 4th step of the spirit path. The rank-skipping challenge was actually a success. Within the audience, the middle-aged man in loose purple robe finally had a change in expression. Earlier he had seemed merely interested, but now he was looking grave. The sword art you used earlier. Is it the anonymous sword art? Chapter 11. Bai Chong. I'm not wrong. That's anonymous sword art. Anonymous sword art from Sword Marquis Mansion. The middle-aged man in a purple robe was astonished and couldn't help recalling the movements Jian Wushuang had demonstrated earlier. His movements were too fast. Though Jian Wushuang's strength was too weak to be a threat, he might not be able to fend off such an attack if it was made by someone on par with him. It was not his first time witnessing such terrifying swordsmanship. More than a decade ago, a powerful enemy had attacked the Sword Marquis Mansion and defeated many of its warriors. The Sword Pavilion Master, Jian Nantian, was the only exception. He alone killed the enemy, using precisely this sword art. Anonymous sword art. The supreme sword art of Sword Marquis Mansion. It existed only in legends, even within Sword Marquis Mansion. Anonymous sword art was simply too profound and mysterious, such that few could use it even after decades of intensive study, much less master it. Furthermore, this sword art was a non-inheritable top secret in Sword Pavilion. Only Sword Pavilion masters had access to study it, with only 3 of them in history being able to use it. The 18 first-class sword arts of Sword Pavilion may be mighty and extraordinary, but they were nothing compared to the legendary anonymous sword art. This young man actually managed to use the anonymous sword art. Though it was only the first move, it's nevertheless incredible. The middle-aged man in a purple robe stared at Jian Wushuang. The one he used before was the fallen leaf sword art. He has already reached great heights. As for anonymous sword art, it is the lifeblood of Sword Pavilion. Ordinary people completely don't have the chance to learn it. He's so young and only at the 4th step of the spirit path, but is already capable of using so many sword arts of Sword Pavilion. He can even use the legendary anonymous sword art. He must be. The middle-aged man seemed to have already guessed Jian Wushuang's identity, and the corners of his mouth lifted. Interesting. Following the end of the life-or-death battle. Mr. Nan, here are your prizes. The black-robed servant of Gladiator Arena handed Jian Wushuang a wooden box. When he opened it, he saw 11 fragrant ivory pills lying inside, including the one that originally belonged to him. The odds of the life-or-death battle between warriors of the Gladiator Arena within the same rank was 1-to-1, but the rank-skipping challenge was 10-to-1. That was why he chose it. The greater the risk, the better the harvest. Jian Wushuang examined the wooden box thoroughly. When he was satisfied, he nodded and was ready to leave. The black-robed servant stopped him. Mr. Nan, please wait for a moment. Is there anything else? Jian Wushuang asked, eyes narrowed. The Gladiator Arena had an exceedingly strong status in the entire Qianzong dynasty and enjoyed great prestige. Though he didn't worry about what they would do to him just for a mere 11 first-class spirit-cultivating pills, he kept his guard up. Our supervisor watched your duel against Spear Devil and became interested in you, so he'd like to meet you, the black-robed servant said. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Just then, the middle-aged man in a loose purple robe, flanked by a couple of golden-robed servants, entered slowly. Ha ha. Mr. Nan, isn't it? I'm Supervisor Bai Chong of the Gladiator Arena. You can call me Sir Bai Chong, the man said in a clear and bright voice. Surprised, Jian Wushuang immediately bowed. Sir Bai Chong. This man's status was nearly on par with the Sword Marquis Mansion Master, perhaps higher. Jian Wushuang had to show reverence. You can leave now, Bai Chong told the black-robed servant, waving a hand. The servant bowed and excused himself. Mr. Nan, I suppose the swordsmanship you used to kill Spear Devil is the anonymous sword art of Sword Pavilion. Bai Chong smiled faintly at Jian Wushuang and said, as far as I know, that's the top secret of Sword Pavilion that only successive Sword Pavilion masters are allowed to study. Now, the only person in the entire Sword Pavilion who can possibly understand it is Jian Wushuang, the son of the missing master, Jian Nantian. He's the only one who has a chance of learning the anonymous sword art due to their relationship. So I'm wondering if you have anything to do with Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's heart thumped, eyes revealing a hint of panic. Obviously, Bai Chong was already aware of his identity. I was discovered even though I only fought once. Jian Wushuang sighed helplessly. Truthfully, he had inherited the anonymous sword art from his father. This sword art was indeed the top sword art of Sword Pavilion. He had hidden it so well all this while that not even Jian Meng'er was aware of it. And he had chosen the rank-skipping challenge to get all the first-class spirit-cultivating pills he needed in one go because he was worried someone would recognize him if he showed up too much in the Gladiator Arena. Participating in one battle lowered those chances. Yet he was forced to use his strongest skill, anonymous sword art, against Spear Devil. He didn't expect a sharp-eyed man to be watching him among the crowd. I'm just kidding. Noticing the surprise in Jian Wushuang's eyes, Bai Chong immediately understood the situation and faked a laugh. From the looks of it, you seem to urgently need first-class spirit-cultivating pills. Is that right, Mr. Nan? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Well, these first-class spirit-cultivating pills are beneficial to spirit path warriors, but they require a long time to be absorbed. You may have 11 first-class spirit-cultivating pills now, but you'll need at least a year to take in all of them, Bai Chong said. You're right. Jian Wushuang nodded but was disagreeing with him internally. It was true that other people would need at least a year to take in 11 first-class spirit-cultivating pills. But he was different. He was a deviant cultivator who cultivated the heavenly creation skill. Thanks to the amazing power of the heavenly creation skill, he could absorb these first-class spirit-cultivating pills very quickly. It wouldn't even take him a month to absorb all of them. It's too time-consuming to absorb all these first-class spirit cultivating pills. If you want to boost your strength in a short amount of time, it doesn't seem realistic to merely rely on them, Bai Chong said. Sir Bai Chong, what are you trying to say? Jian Wushuang asked, frowning. Bai Chong smiled at him. Mr. Nan, have you heard of primordial spiritual liquid? Chapter 12, The Sixth Heaven of Divine Path. Primordial spiritual liquid. Jian Wushuang was startled because he had heard about such spiritual liquid, which was formed by heaven and earth spiritual energy. As it contained extremely refined spiritual power, it was better at promoting a warrior's cultivation compared to spirit cultivating pills. However, its formation required very rare conditions, making it extremely valuable. Additionally, the demand for primordial spiritual liquid was extraordinarily high. Even warriors in the spirit path realm tried to cultivate with the aid of primordial spiritual liquid. Therefore, there were few warriors who were able to use primordial spiritual liquid in the entire Qianzong dynasty, let alone those in Sword Marquis Mansion. Although there was some primordial spiritual liquid in Sword Marquis Mansion, the effect on their warriors was insignificant due to the small amount. I know a place where there is a pond formed completely out of primordial spiritual liquid. Are you interested? Bai Chong gave Jian Wushuang a smile. A pond. Jian Wushuang was intrigued by this. A meager amount of primordial spiritual liquid would have little effect on promoting a warrior's cultivation, while an abundance of it would play a totally different role. A pond formed out of primordial spiritual liquid? How much was primordial spiritual liquid there? It's in a cave of a rift in the northern part of Nine Wolves Mountain, which is 15 kilometers away from the commandery city. But for a long time, it's been occupied by a bloody lion at the peak of rank 6. If you want to enter the cave, it is necessary to get rid of the bloody lion, Bai Chong said with a smile. A rift in the north. Nine Wolves Mountain. Jian Wushuang secretly bore it in mind and replied gratefully, Thank you, Sir Bai Chong. Please, you are welcome. Bai Chong waved at him. Jian Wushuang looked deep in his eyes and then turned away. After Jian Wushuang had gone, a golden-robed servant behind Bai Chong could not help saying, Supervisor, that pond is formed completely out of primordial spiritual liquid. With such abundant primordial spiritual liquid, its value is very high. The pond is so precious, not because of the primordial spiritual liquid, but the spiritual fruit at the bottom of the pond. The primordial spiritual liquid was formed due to the spiritual fruit. Bai Chong shook his head and laughed. Tell those people who go to the pond to only take the spiritual fruit away. Just ignore the primordial spiritual liquid and bloody lion. Got it. The golden-robed servant nodded. In the gladiator arena, the supervisor was so powerful that no one dared to violate his orders. By the way, will the annual Sword Marquis Token Battle be held next month? Bai Chong again asked. Yes, the golden-robed servant replied respectfully. Supervisor, you've been invited to the Sword Marquis Mansion. Moreover, the new Sword Pavilion Master will officially take office. I heard that the new Sword Pavilion Master is Jian Meng'er, the most gifted youth in Sword Marquis Mansion, who is less than 16 years old but has already reached the profound spiritual sea realm. She is also the daughter of Jian Lan, the great elder of Red Martial Hall. Oh! Bai Chong unfurrowed his brows. Ha ha! It seems that the Sword Marquis Token Battle will be very interesting this year. Now I am looking forward to it. The son of Jian Nantian. Tut tut, I want to see if he will surprise me as his father did. On the way back to Sword Marquis Mansion, Jian Wushuang kept thinking. The pond is formed completely out of primordial spiritual liquid, so it would be extremely valuable. Why did he tell me this information? It must be because of my father. Jian Wushuang guessed with some certainty. His father had told him that, due to his aloofness and pride, he had few friends. But Bai Chong was one of them. Obviously, Bai Chong recognized me and, as a friend of my father, he chose to tell me that. Whether he told me for the sake of my father or not, I am grateful for his kindness, Jian Wushuang thought secretly. I am a pond that is formed completely out of primordial spiritual liquid. Even average people would greatly benefit if they cultivated there, let alone I, who cultivates the heavenly creation skill. However, there is a bloody lion at the peak of rank 6, which is comparable to the peak of the 6th step of the spirit path for humans. Presently, I am not capable of fighting against it. Take it slow. I need to enhance my abilities first. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands firmly. In the earth-level cultivating room of Sword Pavilion. First-class spirit cultivating pills have amazing efficacy. Previously, I broke through the 4th heaven of the divine path from the 3rd heaven of the divine path after swallowing just 1 pill. Now, I have 11 first-class spirit cultivating pills. I really wonder to what extent my strength will reach after absorbing all 11 first-class spirit cultivating pills. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on the futon, with fervent eyes. I am ready. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang opened the jade box and took 1 first-class spirit cultivating pill. After he took this elixir, heavenly creation skill functioned to quickly absorb that amazing energy. In the following days, Jian Wushuang still carried out his earnest cultivation. When compared to other skills, it took less time to cultivate heavenly creation skill. Furthermore, the cultivation speed increased due to its ability of rapid recovery and the assisting effects of the earth-level cultivating room. Meanwhile, Jian Wushuang freely ingested those first-class spirit cultivating pills, which countless cultivators of the spirit path coveted. All of that accelerated his cultivation to an incredible level. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed by. There was now only 1 month until the annual Sword Marquis Token battle. That night, it showered. Jian Wushuang, who had continued to stay overnight inside the earth-level cultivating room, completely absorbed the efficacy of those pills inside his body. He then slowly opened his eyes, and there was a dormant, rumbling spiritual power within his body. As he abruptly clenched his hands, an explosive force erupted volcanically, as if a punch could cause the air to explode. Jian Wushuang's eyes were sparkling with a dazzling light. The 6th heaven of the divine path. Almost reaching the peak of the 6th heaven. Jian Wushuang was ecstatic. With his desperate cultivation over half a month, he had completely absorbed the energy from the 11 first-class spirit cultivating pills. After all, the efficacy of a first-class spirit cultivating pill was amazing. For average warriors, it took at least 1 month to thoroughly absorb 1 pill. However, he had absorbed 11 pills in a very short time, by virtue of the heavenly creation skill. As a result, his strength increased by leaps and bounds. It was a long way from the 4th heaven of the divine path to the 6th heaven of the divine path, almost to the peak of the 6th heaven of the divine path. Many people would have been startled had they known that he had cultivated at such an unbelievable speed. Because only 1 month ago, they knew that he was trash who could not condense spiritual power. You just wait and see, Jian Meng'er. I will startle you in 1 month. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands firmly, with an undiluted self-confidence in his eyes. And with that incredible, hard-fought victory, we conclude Chapter 12. Wushuang not only defeated the elite competitor but did so in a manner that left the entire clan, including the powerful elders, reeling in shock. He has officially cemented himself as the biggest threat to the established hierarchy. Now, the stage is set. Only the final rounds remain, and standing between Wushuang and the Sword Marquis Token is the reigning genius and primary rival, Jian Meng'er. This isn't just a battle for a token, it's a battle for his future. Join us next time for chapters 13, 14, and 15 for the ultimate, defining confrontation of the tournament. Thank you for listening to Panda Audio Books. If you enjoyed this intense episode, please subscribe and smash that notification bell to guarantee you don't miss the final showdown.